We have growing potential to see a winter storm this coming weekend, and we need to watch it closely as little shifts will mean big differences for who sees the most snow, who sees ice, who sees rain. All of this stuff is kind of up in the air right now. We have to figure it all out. So we're going to go into all of this in this morning's video. I like to give you guys a little bit of credibility before I just start yapping. So my name is Charlie Lenz. I live in the upstate of South Carolina. I'm 16 years old. I am just a weather enthusiast. I started learning about this stuff years ago, and then had decided to start a YouTube channel where I could share what I know with the world. And so far, I've had a lot of fun doing it. But regardless of all that, we're going to get into some model runs today as well as some snowfall and see what we can kind of decipher from our pattern because it's a very tricky system. So like this video if you like it, subscribe if you've not done so already, and please leave a comment down below where you're watching from. It'd be greatly appreciated. So we have to start this off like usual, just because I'm kind of a perfectionist. We want to start this off looking at just the normal stuff, satellite. As the sun came up this morning, you could see it pass by. I'm going to go ahead and click and pause this. So if we take a look at this, you will notice how empty the majority of the US is. Very, very empty. All of this stuff is snow. Isn't that crazy? You can see the snow from space. You can see snow out west as well. But yeah, not a whole lot going on right now. And then I can overlay the jet stream. So if I hit this button here, that's what happens. So you can see we have Arctic air rushing south, and it will be a cool day across the eastern US, most of it, although there will be a tight gradient. It'll be kind of like this, where the coldest air is. Everywhere else over in here, you're kind of normal. It could be pretty cool in these areas, as well as very windy out this side of the Appalachians. I'm gonna get this off your screen. Yeah, out in here could be very windy as this trough makes its full passage. Very windy yesterday, and we have wind advisories up, so let's get into that as well. Here's the current radar. Pretty quiet across most of the U.S. There's the typical Northwest U.S. kind of rain ongoing. Just a fountain of moisture across this area. Continued rain. Otherwise, we have this snow over here in the Northeast. This is left over from the clipper from yesterday. Is still kind of ongoing. You can see that there's heavier bands over areas of the coastal New England here, and this will continue throughout the day. You can see several more inches of snow in any of these areas where you get under a band. Other than that, very quiet. Here's watches, warnings, and advisories. This is very hard to look at, I know. Uh, I think the only thing really worth mentioning is the fact that they have upgraded the winter storm warnings areas north of Boston. So just keep an eye on that. That's just for more snow. I mean, there's so many warnings layered here. I mean, they have extreme cold warnings in this dark blue that you see. So, for example, temperatures in New York today might not even hit 0 degrees Fahrenheit. That's very cold. That's why I have those in place. And then all of these tan that go down here, even some of the counties in the upstate of South Carolina, including where I live, we have wind advisories in effect as well as high wind warnings in the higher elevations for very breezy conditions. Red flag warnings out in Nebraska, Kansas, Colorado, Wyoming for some dry weather and windy conditions. Other than that, pretty quiet across most of the US. So we're going to start this off with the Euro model and work our way through some global model guidance here. So here we go, starting us off this coming Tuesday. And you can see we actually, we'll go into it here. We have kind of two storms to watch in the time frame that we were talking about, the 12th through the 14th. Change that to 12th through the 15th. It's kind of extended a little bit longer, but there could be two storms in there. And so we get into the 12th, the 13th. You see that? There's a little snow event for, say, North Carolina and Virginia. This is not a forecast, but there's something there. There's moisture kind of riding along the boundary. If you don't know what you're looking at here and why there's so many lines on your screen, you see this blue line that says 540. Don't worry about what that number is. Think about that as the freezing line aloft. So anything north of here is likely going to be snow, at least over land. See out over water, it's different. But Areas south of it typically are rain. It's give or take, but it's something similar to that. But it's this moisture's riding along that boundary. This is getting into this coming Friday, um, less than a week from now, and we've got some sort of little snow event. It's pretty quick hitting, but some heavy snow in North Carolina, not a forecast. Move this on. And then you look down in the deep south, you see a lot of moisture down here. And you can see those blue dotted lines, that 540 line is kind of nearby. So it means we have cold air close. Well, you start to suddenly see snow breaking out as far south as Atlanta, maybe even further south than Atlanta, as well as the low country of South Carolina, say Orangeburg area. Not a forecast. This is getting into this coming weekend, just a little over a week from now. And yeah, there's something ongoing. We take it one more frame. This is this not tomorrow, but the Sunday after. We have a snow event ongoing in the low country of South Carolina and east central areas of Georgia, and it moves out pretty quick. It's very fast. It's not long duration. It moves it on out, and then we have a low and it just kind of drifts off the coast. And then we will go after this a little bit. This is the 18th, the 19th. And we have some sort of moisture bomb getting going, and then it's a huge snow for areas of Indiana, Ohio. Wow, look at how heavy that snow is getting into Pennsylvania, New York, and then into coastal New England, and it moves off the shore. This is really out in the longer range. We don't like to focus too much on this stuff, but it's there. It's worth seeing. There's another system. I think honestly, what we're seeing here is that after the mid-month time frame, we could start to get active with just more systems to watch. Not necessarily all snow or all winter weather. This could be a severe weather event right here. And just to be clear, guys, I'm going to back this up. The track that this low takes, you see that low is along the Gulf Coast line right here. If this is a couple hundred miles further to the north, we have a very different story for different locations. There's a chance we see severe weather out of this as opposed to snow in, say, the Carolinas. It's very possible we see it. So nothing about this is locked in yet, but that has shown up. We have some eye candy to look at, if you will. Now, the Euro AI model. They're going to breeze through this pretty quick. We're starting off Tuesday. So there's some moisture getting to the 11th, the 12th. It doesn't do anything. How about the 13th? So our AI guidance, both the Euro AI and the GFS AI, do not like that first little system in North Carolina. You can see that 540 line, that bolded blue line, is pretty far south, but there's no moisture. So that's a difference. And you can see the main player here, a big moisture bomb rolling just due east. And this is a lot warmer. You can see how much further north that bold blue line is. We have differences here. And you can see some tan colors that would be probably freezing rain and sleet. In the along the Appalachians points east, this is because of cold air damming. See this high pressure up here in the northeast. It's not very strong. A 1028 high is strong, but it's not that strong. If it was like a 1050 high, then I would be like, yeah, I don't know. But 1028, it might not be strong enough to do this. But what this does, when you get a high up here, it dislodges cold air to the south. And obviously we have the Appalachian Mountains in the way. They go, up in here. So what it does is it sends cold air down the eastern side and it gets trapped. And so we have cold air damming. It gets dammed up against the Appalachian Mountains and we can get frozen precipitation to fall even if everywhere else it's raining. This happens relatively often. This cold air damming is nothing new. So it's not very strong with it, and it really struggles to stay frozen anything very far south. And it is it's a 995 low rolling through the mid-south. It's very strong, very windy, and it really does not get snow going until we're getting into late this coming weekend up into the northeast. And it's not even a crazy event for you guys because you're mixing so much. So it's a different look. It's a very amped up look. If you look at where this low started, way down in Texas, it goes due east, but then it cuts north pretty quick. There's actually a transfer there from Kentucky to the Carolinas with the low pressure. You can see right here, it's there. Right here, it's there. So there's some sort of transfer of energy, but the moisture doesn't seem affected. It moves on. That's the last frame. Okay, there's our European model guidance. Here's the GFS model. So we're starting out here. There's this snow. It's more widespread though. It's a little warmer. You have rain mixing in, but areas that you do get snow, this would be heavy, wet snow. This is, I mean, this coming Friday. And we have a snow event ongoing in areas of the Virginias, Kentucky, maybe even areas of North Carolina. So not a forecast, but we do see something. And then that moves on out. Then what? Well, here we are in our time frame, and it's a different look. But I want you to notice. Let's use this frame here. If we do some drawing, our 540 line goes like this. It drops pretty far south. And you got this big area of moisture down here that's rolling through. Well, the GFS, what it ends up doing is it's a little bit too fast with the moisture. If the moisture was back in here, you'd get something to happen. That's what the Euro did. It does not, so it keeps areas over land drier. It just is more of a out over the ocean type of thing. But note that it does have something. It's not a miss. It just doesn't. It doesn't line them up exactly. Afterwards, 17th, 18th. I mean, the GFS does something kind of similar with the big low pressure, not in the same place though. After that, I mean, we have another huge low pressure that, I mean, I'll put it this way. If this kind of thing were to end up happening, it's the definition of a high impact storm system. You'd have severe weather to the south, you'd have winter weather to the north, an ice storm in areas, wind. I mean, it's a 986 low, be very windy, hundreds of miles away from the low. I mean, it's just, don't take anything from this. This was the run before it. That's that run. 2 runs ago looked like that. So yeah, there's something, but if you live in, say, northern Pennsylvania, you're like, I don't want an ice storm. Well, it doesn't mean you will. Could you? Yeah, but I don't assume you will. This is out in the long range and it's the GFS. Don't focus too much on it. That's the last frame. Okay, the the GFS AI model, starting this off at the same time, it again kind of misses with that moisture in the 13th, but it's even further south with that 540 line. So something to watch. If the AI guidance will latch onto some moisture, we will get some sort of a winter weather event across the mid-Atlantic states, most likely. Not a forecast though. Then here we go. It's the 14th. We have a low pressure starting out, although it's starting out hundreds of miles further north. So we're spotting differences here. It starts in Kansas as opposed to central Texas. So it's a difference. Moves east. It's different. It has similarities, but it's not the same. Now, if I take this frame and go back a run and go back a run, there is something here, but there's nothing really frozen to the south. It's a big rain bomb. Could be severe weather. This just looks very messy. And it moves on out. So there's that. Now, how about the Canadian model? Starting this off here. It as well shows some sort of snow. It's just a little bit further north. It's a little bit warmer. So it's really a Virginia's thing. But hey, it's something. It shows something. We're looking for consistency at this range. We're not looking for a final say from any given model. We're looking for consistency. Then, here we go. In the 14th, we have a low. It starts off snow pretty early in areas of Missouri here, and then kind of moves its way east. And then we have, for example, I can't think, guys. I can't think. Anyway, I'll go back to that later. Along the southern Appalachians, we have snow, pretty heavy. Although it's very close to just raining in some areas. This would be if this actually happens like this. This is something where there's no real way to forecast it. Kentucky is what I was trying to think of. Kentucky gets several consecutive hours of some sort of snow. But I mean, this frame right here, for example, I'm going to switch this into the southeast sector so we can look a little closer. So yeah, there's some sort of cold air damming ongoing. The reason I can tell you that, you see these black lines kind of go like this. That means there's some sort of pressure gradient that would indicate that there is some sort of cold air damming in place. So you can see it. The frozen precipitation kind of follows that shape. Excuse me. And we get a low forming off the coast. This is not a forecast, though. This is a little bit different of a scenario. but it's one of the biggest hits out of our scenarios here. Now I'm going to switch this back to the eastern U.S. Got something in my throat, guys. You can probably hear it. But we move this on. It passes us, and that's the last frame. So there's a lot of moisture in this last frame here, but this does not take us out through that secondary time frame to watch for something huge to blow up. But there's that, okay? Now, when it comes to snowfall, this is very difficult to show you guys. I don't even think I'm going to move this map at all. I think I'm just going to draw on it. Do you notice how there is some sort of higher mean here? I'm not talking about inches. I'm talking about darker grays. That just indicates more. Starting areas further south, the panhandle of Texas, up through Missouri, northern Arkansas. It even drops a decent mean down through the upstate of South Carolina. And then the southern Appalachian Mountains have over an inch. So this is the Euro Ensemble. This makes up 51 members. And for example, let me show you the run prior to this. It dried up a little bit. How about the run before that? Even further. So the last two runs, compare this to this. It's an obvious tick south. It's not little. It's just like wow, it ticks south. So that's something to note. Not that if you guys live down here and say, I'm just throwing out places, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, you're like, oh yeah, if it's trending this fast, it'll eventually get to us. I don't think so. I think that its location will probably start locking in, but it's picking up on something happening as we have a low that goes here and then cuts this way. Will we have this happen? I don't know. I mean, this low could start here and then go up here, or go up here, or even go down here. It can do whatever it wants. And to assume and pretend that me as a person looking at model guidance can tell you for sure what we're going to see is just a lie. But this is definitely increased. Zero ensemble. How about the national blend of models here? It's kind of similar. It's a little bit more splotchy just because it's a slightly higher resolution. But again, I'll circle it like kind of like this. This circle does not always receive snow in winter. Areas further north, you kind of could expect more. Look at Virginia, for example. Just kind of caught my eye for a second. All of the state has over an inch of snow. That's interesting. It's really picking up on a lot of snow for areas of the Northeast and the interior Mid-Atlantic. So this is all driven off of clippers that go through various different scenarios, but it does show quite a bit. If you're in the Northeast, you can kind of assume you're going to get quite a bit of snow over the next couple of weeks. But yeah, we have some sort of increasing signal for the kind of central tier of the country. If you think about it as a sandwich, the middle areas east of the Rockies starting to fill in a little bit. Something to watch. I mean, it even for these areas that would be cold air damming in the southern Appalachians, it has over an inch, even into some of the counties in upstate South Carolina, northern Georgia. So something to watch for sure. If you thought that this storm had gone away from us, well, number one, it kind of did, but it has come back and stronger than ever, if you will. So there's that. Now we're going to get into our pattern a little bit. We're just going to use the US. We're not going to look at a larger sector here. We're just going to kind of focus in on this specific thing. We're starting this off this coming Thursday. We're skipping everything else. Starting this off here. So you see a ridge. If you don't know what you're looking at, this is the mid-levels, and this is so 3 to 4 miles above your head. And this would be whether it is a ridge, warmer air. That's what's denoted by this red color, this like kind of pink, almost salmon pink. That's a ridge, that's warmer air. And if you see blue, that is cooler air, that's a trough. So you can see this ridge in the middle areas of the country starting this off this Thursday. It's coming Thursday. That means it's warm most areas. Although, look at the eastern seaboard states in the Northeast. Neutral to even slightly below average, so slightly cooler. Watch how that area starts to push its way back west. We get into this coming Saturday, about a week from now. and we have it's starting to it even extends. This is probably about as far as it extends right here. So our event is not happening yet. It's starting, I would say, probably out here somewhere. But we have something here. This is a change. We have a kind of a nose of cooler air poking back in the mid levels. Is it reflected at the surface? Well, let's look. We can look at our surface temperatures here. Yeah, they've cooled down. So obviously areas of the Northeast are very cold. We have marginal temperatures in areas of the mid to deep South. But watch kind of what happens as I move this on. For example, this coming Sunday morning, not tomorrow, the Sunday after, our freezing line is pretty far south, all things considered. So in areas of, say, North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia, Kentucky, if this were to happen just like this, you would be cold enough for something frozen to happen. That's not a forecast, that's not final, but that is the way I would put that. Is this what I meant to look at? It is not. Here it should be this. Yes. So yeah, that little extension of blue is very important. It just is. There's no better way to put it. We go back, or we start to move forward, I should say. Gotta get my words right. We have a ridge start to build back in the eastern U.S. and then moves our central U.S. and moves east. This would really be a trough out west that you would just watch for repeated shots of cold air and winter weather across the western U.S. You guys deserve it. But this warms us up, and then at the end of the run, everything goes zonal. I'm not going to zoom this out. I'm just going to look at this as it is. But you can see how these black lines go from the Pacific to the Atlantic without really going up or down, without changing latitude a whole lot. That just tells you that there's not really any energy specifically diving through. If we look at our energy, very negligible. You can look at the color scale. The reason I scroll down so far is to get it off of my head. You can see where it says 5. I mean, this is very little. We go back in time some, you have slightly higher values, for example. I mean, nothing is too high, but you can see other stuff in here. Everything just kind of at the end, it's just very, very little energy just moving across. So we could enter some sort of null time period to start the third week of February, but that's not final either. So when it comes to temperatures, I'm just going to look at anomalies. This is above or below average. That's all this is. And if you see blues, that's cooler than average temperatures. If you see these reds, even up to like this almost brown color, that would be above average temperatures. Starting us off this coming Tuesday, like we started our moisture guidance, and we really do warm up, although you see that extension of blue start to enter eastern areas of the U.S., and then it kind of hangs around and it amplifies a little bit. We get into the 14th and the 15th. I mean, these are not temperatures that would be brutally cold. We just looked at them. They're kind of marginal temperatures, but they're at or below freezing in some areas. So let's get into Sunday morning. We have widespread cool across the eastern half or so of the country. So we would be setting the stage for something to happen. Now, I don't know if it has, yeah, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do some basic math for you guys. I'm going to do it like this. So I apologize for the choppiness. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. So we look here. Do you see, this is accumulated precipitation. Do you see this like blob of it out here along the Red River that kind of moves to the east a little bit? So for example, we take this frame here. I mean, there's no real way to tell what these are. This is like light green. So you would say that this is maybe 3 or 4 tenths of an inch of just precipitation, rain. Well, you can do simple math. If it falls as snow in a 10-to-1 snow liquid ratio, that would mean there's 4 inches of snow. You can do that math. 4 inches of snow would fall. If all of this fell as snow, it will not. Areas further south all fall as snow most likely. This is not one of those events like we had last time in the areas of the south where it was like in the 20s and snowing. This would be right around freezing and snowing for some of these areas. Obviously, as you go north, it would change, but just the reason I'm showing you this, if we were conservative and say 2/10 to 3/10, that would be 2 to 3 inches of snow if it fell like that. But you have to assume that some of it would evaporate because it's a little warm. Some of it would fall as sleet. Some of it would fall as freezing rain. Some of it might fall as normal rain. So you have to take that into consideration. As of right now, we don't have a whole lot of moisture to work with. So even if it all did fall as snow, it's not a huge event. But you can see there's a very clear blob of it. Starts out west, areas of the southern plains, and then moves east. It's a very clear signal. So the reason I showed you that is just to kind of give you some basic, you can't get this wrong, guys. This is the Euro Ensemble. This is just straight moisture. This will change, of course, but this is probably not going to change a whole lot. And so if we were working with an inch, for example, an inch of precipitation was available, you have that in a cup that you could dump out. Well, obviously some of it is going to evaporate, some of it's going to fall as sleet or freezing rain, but it leaves you a lot more for snow. We just don't have that. So as of right now, I don't think that our ceiling is all that high yet. This is something that could change quickly to where we have a much larger event on our hands over the next few days. So please stay tuned for that. We will keep you guys updated. So all that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I will get a video out tomorrow at some point. I have work tomorrow, so it will not be in the morning. It will likely be in the mid-afternoon. So again, thank you guys for tuning in. Share this with friends and family. Like it if you like it, subscribe if you've not done so, all that stuff. And I will see you guys in the next one.